everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today in this video I'm going to be reviewing Superman. So let's get into it. As far as I guess I don't know how to start it off. I guess I'll start off with the tone. The tone of this movie is pretty much exactly, I think, what the true Superman fans wanted. They wanted to stay away from the realistic, kind of grounded, kind of like intense kind of things like that. This is the total opposite. This is more like comic book and like Saturday morning cartoons kind of vibe. Felt like I was watching like Batman Forever, or even like Batman and Robin or something like that. Just had that campy kind of like, not like so much cheesy, but just kind of like just more just like outgoing, like just like cheerful, kind of playful. So yeah, that's pretty much the tone for this whole Superman film. As far as David Cornsweet's Superman / Clark Kent, it was a great, new fresh take on the character again, but obviously this is more accurate, like I was saying, to the comic books and like the cartoon series, the 90s cartoons, and even like a little bit of like the Justice League. So I got that vibe, and he did very well as far as like the Superman. Like you can tell like it's exactly like that version of the cartoons and the comic books. So, he's not serious. He's not, he's totally opposite of all the other movie adaptations like Man of Steel and maybe even like Superman Returns. But I would say these are more like the Christopher Reeve, like 1, 2, and 3. And I mean, maybe just a little bit of like the Superman Returns in some parts of it. But as far as his personality, he's very, it's just, he's very playful. This Superman is just very optimistic, and, he's just, he's genuine, and like he's always trying to do the right thing. Like he just wants to bring hope to everyone. So he's very different. So I will say that. Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor was pretty decent. I thought he was pretty good. He's obviously better than Jesse Eisenberg's adaptation, because like Jesse Eisenberg was like right here, but Nicholas Hoult I think is like right here. He's slightly better. I personally would have liked to see more screen time though with him. I just didn't get enough like emotional connection with him as far as this Lex. Like you can see the progression, like as the movie, from start to finish. Like he does have a lot of like hate, and his whole, well-being is to destroy Superman. Like, and you can see the obsession of him knowing how Superman fights, and like he already knows his weaknesses and stuff like that. Like you can feel that, but it wasn't like to the point where it was only at the very last moment of the movie where you're like, dang, he really hates Superman. But it wasn't enough for me to like get a lot of that emotional connection with him as far as Lex Luthor. But yeah, he does have that kind of like the cartoon vibe. That's what I was, and like a mixture of like Michael Rosenbaum's like Smallville's Lex. That's kind of what I was getting the vibe from. But he was, I would say, he was he was good, but he was good like when the moments were getting heated. Like every time it was just Superman and Lex, like when they were trying to like interact in some way, he would get heated, but then it was over. Like that was it. You know what I mean? So like, it was just little things like that. I was just like, it was there, but I just didn't get enough. So hopefully maybe down the road they'll give him more of a character development and show him more evil as time progresses. So that was good. Lois Lane's character, played by what's her name, Rachel Brosnahan. I can't say her name. Brosnahan. I know I'm saying it wrong, but anyway, her character as Lois Lane was pretty decent as well too. This wasn't your typical like damsel in distress, like save me Superman, I'm falling off a building. It wasn't that vibe. She was really trying to like help Superman. She was just so eager in the whole movie. She's like, we need to get Superman. We got to help him. We got to save him. We got to do this. So like she kind of got her hands more dirty in this movie. Like she was just more involved. As far as the chemistry, though, between Lois and Clark, there is a really cool scene as far as like the dialogue that they're going back and forth. Like, it's really cool. It was just like, it was kind of like a dynamic, drastic change so quick, because it's like 1 minute they're like making out, and then the next minute they're like yelling at each other like a kind of like a married couple. But it was just very like, it was just kind of quick. They just like, yeah, it was just like they're making out, kissing, and then they're like yelling at each other. So I don't know, hopefully they can explore more chemistry with those two characters, especially Lois and Clark, and try to see where that, the relationship goes in the further projects. So that was one thing that kind of like, just, it was like minor detail that I was kind of like, it was cool, but it just, again, didn't get enough like that chemistry, and wanted to see more interaction with them. And I think there's literally only like one scene like that where they're kind of exchanging dialogue between each other. And then, there was a little, even though like Lois is more of like a leading character in it, she just, I don't know, there was a lot of things that just kind of didn't make sense to, like, as far as like the technology of like things where like all the other superheroes, obviously they're advanced there because of their superpowers and all that. But some of the parts where, I don't know, it was kind of, it was just, it was cool, but it was just kind of like, I don't know, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's just, there's just a part where like Lois like gets in a ship and she's just like, and she just gets in and like figures it out in like a second. And I was just like, okay, I mean, she's a reporter, she's not a scientist, you know what I mean? So I don't know, that was just kind of like, okay, she got in, she just like, all of a sudden now she's like taking all these people with her, and it's like in a ship. So I don't know, that was a little like, I don't know if that was, it was cool, but it was just, sorry, acting all weird. I'm all like, So pretty much some of the minor flaws, sort of like, they're just minor little things that I thought maybe just thought it was a little bit off and weird at times, and sometimes it was just a little too redundant. I would say like some of the examples, obviously, but like the first thing that stood out is obviously, it's like the humor, and there's a lot of like, parts where you're like, okay, that landed. And then there's some parts where just like it didn't land, and again, I know James Gunn likes like the characters and all, like he loves his characters, and especially with the dog, it was like after a while, kind of like, I get it, like that's a dog, and obviously the dog doesn't talk, but they just kind of like replaying the same jokes kind of a little bit, you know what I mean? I will say, even as watching the trailer in this film, they pretty much like gave away everything in the trailer. So like, as far as like emotionally, like as far as like the movie as a whole, like it didn't really impact me as much, because I guess, I mean, the two trailers that they showed, the first teaser trailer, but then the actual second trailer where they showed all the action sequences and all that, they show that in the movie. But like, I felt like they gave away too much. So like when I saw those scenes coming up, like, all these crazy fight scenes with, the monster and this and that and the city, it just like, I didn't feel like I didn't get to be ready for it, because they kind of gave it away already. Like it kind of took my emotions, like kind of like, there it is there. Oh, that's the scene. Okay. So like, I don't know why. Obviously, I mean, maybe that's my fault for, watching the trailer, or, the two trailers that showed or whatever. And maybe I just need to stop, like, in general watching them. But I tried to, like, I really tried saving myself for this one. I really did. And again, there were some parts that, obviously that were not in the trailer that I felt pretty hyped for. But again, I felt like watching those trailers, it didn't really give me that satisfaction. And like, as a movie, audience member, I just kind of was like, oh man, I saw that already in the trailer. Like, I didn't really get excited for it. But another minor thing that kind of bugged me was the score. The score had its theme moments in the movie. Like, there was some parts where it's really cinematically cool, and like Superman saving the day, and you can hear the John Williams score. They just do it their version, but it's just like short and sweet. It's nothing like drawn out, and there's no like tension, like there's no music that's building the climax of the scene or whatever it is, and like you don't really get that where, you know, like the music drives the scene basically. So that was kind of like it was okay, but it didn't like I said, emotionally, it didn't really move me in that way. The visuals of Superman, you know, there's some really cool shots. I would say some of the cooler shots are of him by himself, like when it's just him, whether he's saving somebody or he's flying in the sky. I would say there's some really cool cinematic, like comic book shots, like he's just like going straight up and like the clouds are behind him and stuff like that, and like he's saving the city, and it's just like there's some really cool shots like that. But in the middle of the movie, I felt like, as far as like the CGI was kind of overbearing at some parts. Like in the middle of the movie, you'll catch where it is, but to me it felt like it was kind of like too pixelated, and it felt like too colorful, and like I just felt like, man, do we really need all this to be smothered with the CGI right here? Like, I don't know. And again, I know it has the James Gunn feel, like, you know, it for sure has his stamp on it, but there are some times where you're looking at it and you're like, this looks and feels more like a Marvel movie, obviously because it's James Gunn, but it just, yeah, like, you know, he always has to put his signature, you know, style in it, which is, you know, he does like a rotation sequence, and the music's like really loud, and it's like showing the action movements, which again was cool, but I really don't think it was that necessary I mean, it was cool, but again, yeah, this is like different. This is more of like cartoon kind of feel. This is more comic book. They're showing what it feels like to, you know, what Superman is really supposed to be in the comic books and all the, you know, cartoon series and stuff like that. So, which again, I get, you know, and that's why I said, like, there's some parts where it fits, and especially with the fight sequences, they do this like shaky camera stuff, and there's a lot of like this where it's like the movements are capturing the hits, but like you feel like it's too much going on sometimes, or like you can't tell. I can't tell visually what's happening, as far as the physical movements and the visual aspects. Like sometimes it's a little too fast with the whole, you know what I mean? So that was one thing. Like another thing I felt like was kind of like a little odd and just different, but you know, it was cool in a different way, but not really as far as the eye. I couldn't really just capture everything in some parts. But it wasn't until the second half of the film where it felt like, to me, it felt like a Superman movie, literally the second half. And you'll know right when it happens, like the city is falling apart, the buildings falling and stuff like that. And it's like, that is when I felt like, okay, dang, cinematically it looks and feels like a Superman movie. But it was the first and middle part of the movie where I was just like, it's kind of all over the place, and it just kind of gave me that vibe of like, it's cool, but it just has that campy feel, you know what I mean? And again, nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's totally different. This James Gunn is trying to do, what he's trying to do is target new audience members as far as even Superman viewers, and trying to target new generation, new kids. It's targeted more into that more like younger vibe. So yeah, this is not like the serious, grounded character that, you know, characters that you've seen like in the previous movie, like Man of Steel, maybe even like Superman Returns. But I mean, I guess that's why, like, even for me, like, I've always been more of a Batman fan than Superman. And it's just crazy because it's like the dynamic between, yeah, like Superman, this is what you would see like in the cartoons or in the comic books, like how opposite he is of Batman. And Batman is totally opposite of Superman. Like they think different. The tone is completely different. This character is grounded. Superman is not. He's more about like, yeah, spreading joy and helping people, and like just he's he's not afraid to show that genuine side to him. Unlike Batman, it's more dark, he's more brooding, he's more to himself. But yeah, maybe that's just me. That's my personal, like, that's why I've always loved stories like, Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, The Dark Knight, and even Man of Steel. Like, it's just more like in a grounded, realistic way. But again, that's why I say this is a different version that we're finally getting, where it feels like, I felt like I was watching the Justice League, and even some of the secondary characters, like, I wanted to be attached, like, emotionally to them, but I felt like I just didn't get enough of like Hawk Girl, and like Mr. Terrific was really cool. He actually had more of the scenes, I would say, as far as the secondary character. And then I forgot the Green Lantern character. Like, they were cool and decent, but even Hawk Girl, like, was kind of like cringy a little bit. Like, I don't remember her being that kind of like loosey goosey and kind of like, I mean, she's like really young, so like I don't know, I guess maybe they just were trying to do something different. But like most of the characters, like Lex, Lois, and everybody else, like, I didn't have that emotional attachment. As far as, I wasn't in, like, I understand what they were trying to do, but as far as like keeping it fresh and new, I really hope that James Gunn does kind of have that same consistency and same feel. And as far as like style, like stylistically, I hope it stays the same throughout the rest of the DC projects, because as soon as they start doing individual Green Lantern, Batman, Brave and the Bold, Flash, and all that, and if they start getting different directors and then they start doing different tones, it could kind of be all over the place, and that's what I kind of get nervous for. So I'm hoping that James Gunn will kind of take charge and be on board with that, making sure that it's in the same lane and it doesn't stretch out far completely. Like, and that's usually always what always ends up happening, is that sometimes when they do the individual movies, it's always a near miss, or they're not that good. You know what I mean? So I hope that that he has the same consistency throughout the whole DCU movies to come, because eventually it is going to lead to the Justice League movie. So, but anyway, as far as did I love this film, I don't think I loved it, but I did like it, because it does have some elements in there. Like, again, like, I felt like I was on my couch watching Saturday morning cartoons. Felt like I was reading certain parts out of a comic book. And, again, it's a totally different tone. They're trying to revamp, reboot this DCU franchise that hasn't been done well probably since Zack Snyder's version, because his version again is more dark, more grounded and all that, but this is more like exactly like how you watch the cartoons. It just feels like I'm watching the cartoons. It feels like I'm just enjoying the campiness of it, of all of it coming together, and and just kind of having that playful tone. So but anyway, if I had to rate it, I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. 3.5 stars out of 5. So that's my score, and that's my review. So let me know what you guys thought of Superman, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks. Bye.